He lived on the streets of New York, forgotten by the world. But on a freezing night, a mysterious briefcase crossed his path. Inside, something that could change everything. Now, every step could mean vanishing forever, or finding a new life. And one single choice will decide his fate. If you believe in second chances, hit that subscribe button. This one's going to stay with you. Now, let's go back to the beginning. The night air bit through Liam's tattered hoodie as he curled beneath a subway grate near 42nd Street. Steam hissed upward, his only source of warmth in a city that had long forgotten him. At 14, he knew how to read people, dodge cops, and steal just enough to eat without getting caught. His past was a blur of shouting, slammed doors, and the final haunting image of his mother walking away without looking back. New York didn't care if he vanished, and neither did the world. But Liam had learned to survive, invisible in a place full of eyes. Each day was the same: hunger, cold, and the ache of being unwanted. Still, he dreamed sometimes of something better, even if he didn't believe in it. That night, something unusual was waiting in the dark just beyond the steam. A man in a dark coat sprinted past, bumping into Liam and muttering something under his breath. In his hand was a sleek black briefcase, heavy-looking and out of place. Seconds later, the man threw it behind a dumpster and disappeared into the crowd. Liam blinked, unsure if he was imagining things. Curiosity overpowered fear, and he crept toward the alley. No sirens, no footsteps, just the quiet buzz of the city's indifference. He reached for the briefcase, heart hammering, hands trembling. What could be inside? A weapon? Drugs? Secrets? His fingers brushed cold metal as he unlatched the case. The lid opened with a soft snap. Inside, neat stacks of $100 bills filled every inch, crisp and unmarked. Liam staggered back, breath caught in his throat. He'd never seen this much money. Not on TV, not in dreams. His mind reeled. Was this real? Was he dreaming? And more importantly, what now? He slammed the case shut and looked around, his senses suddenly sharper. Was someone watching him? Was this a trap? The alley remained still, except for a blinking light and a broken sign above. Liam grabbed the case and ran. He didn't know where. Just away. Away from the cold, away from everything. He didn't stop until his lungs burned and the city faded into shadows. In a forgotten maintenance tunnel beneath a crumbling overpass, he sat, the case still clutched in his lap. Questions raced through his head like fire. Should he keep it? Was it stolen? What if someone came looking for it? But for the first time in years, he had power. Not power to hurt, but power to choose. And that terrified him. He thought about food, a warm bed, maybe a coat that didn't smell like trash. But then he also thought about the man who left it. Was he running from danger? Was he a criminal? Or was this something else? Something more complicated? Liam didn't know. But something deep inside told him this wasn't just luck. It was a test. And he couldn't fail. The briefcase felt heavier the longer Liam held it, like the money inside had a soul, and it was staring right through him. He hadn't eaten all day, and his stomach growled like an animal, but he couldn't bring himself to leave the case unattended, not even for a second. This wasn't just cash. It was the closest thing to hope he'd ever held. And yet, the weight of it whispered danger with every breath. What if someone came looking? What if it belonged to someone who would kill to get it back? As dawn crept over the city, casting pale light through the cracks of his hiding spot, Liam knew he couldn't stay underground forever. The city was waking up, and with it came risk. He wrapped the case in a filthy tarp and stuffed it into a broken janitor's cart he found nearby. It looked like garbage. That was the point. He wheeled it carefully out into the morning fog, blending in with the forgotten. He passed a bakery, the smell of fresh bread almost breaking him. He had enough in the case to buy the building, but instead he watched through the glass as a woman handed her child a warm croissant. That image burned in his memory, not because of the food, but the look in the mother's eyes, something he hadn't seen in years. Love, safety, belonging. Liam looked away and kept moving. He found a quiet spot near the public library and sat with his back against the stone wall. He needed a plan. He couldn't just spend the money. Someone would notice. And worse, what if it got him killed? He'd heard stories. Kids who found something they shouldn't have, then vanished without a trace. He couldn't become one of them. He needed answers. And maybe he needed help. But who could he trust? The shelters were full of thieves. The cops might take the money and toss him back into the system, or worse, jail. He wasn't a criminal. He didn't want to be. But this city had taught him that being honest didn't keep you alive. Still, part of him clung to something different, something quieter than survival, a sense of right and wrong that hadn't yet been drowned. That's when he remembered someone, Mr. Castillo, the old librarian who used to let him sneak in during winter. He was kind, asked questions without pressing, gave Liam books to read, stories about people who made hard choices and still found a way. Maybe he could help. Maybe he'd know what to do. Liam stood up, gripping the handle of the cart tighter. He crossed the street toward the library, heart pounding. It was early, but the lights were on. Maybe, just maybe, someone inside could help him figure out what this money really meant, and whether it was a gift or a curse. The library doors creaked open with a slow groan, and the warmth inside wrapped around Liam like a memory. Dust floated through sunbeams, and the faint smell of old pages felt like safety. For a second, he could almost pretend he belonged here. Almost. He rolled the janitor's cart across the tile floor, eyes darting for signs of Mr. Castillo. But before he could call out, a shadow moved across the far end of the reading room. It wasn't the old librarian. A man stood there, tall, wrapped in a long coat, wearing sunglasses even in the low light. He was still, too still, like he was waiting. Liam's gut clenched. The cart suddenly felt like it had a spotlight on it. The man turned slowly, then walked away without a word. Liam didn't move. His breath was shallow. Who was that? Why was he here so early? Was he watching the library or watching him? Just as panic crept in, a familiar voice broke through the silence. Liam? Mr. Castillo emerged from the stacks, older than he remembered, but with the same soft voice and concerned eyes. Is that really you? For the first time in what felt like forever, Liam smiled. It didn't last long. Mr. Castillo's gaze drifted to the cart. Are you okay? He asked, his voice lower now, cautious. Liam wanted to tell him everything, but the words were like stones in his throat. I need help, he managed. Mr. Castillo gestured toward his office. Let's talk. The cart rattled behind him as they moved past rows of forgotten books. Inside the office, the door clicked shut, and for the first time, Liam pulled back the tarp. Mr. Castillo's eyes widened, but he didn't speak. He just listened. Liam explained everything. The alley, the man running, the briefcase, the questions that wouldn't stop circling in his mind. When he was done, Mr. Castillo sat back, rubbing his temples. This is dangerous, Liam. You understand that, right? The boy nodded. I don't want to steal. I just didn't know what else to do. His voice cracked at the edge of the sentence. Mr. Castillo leaned forward, his expression serious. Someone's going to come looking for that money, if they haven't already. Liam nodded again. I saw a man earlier. I think he might have been following me. The librarian stood and pulled the blinds shut. Okay, we need to figure this out. Quietly. Outside, unnoticed by both of them, the man in the coat stood beneath a tree, unmoving, watching through the library window. Mr. Castillo paced the small office, deep in thought, while Liam sat silently, the briefcase on his lap like a loaded weapon. "There has to be a clue," the librarian muttered, and began examining the case itself. Nothing on the outside, no name tags, no labels. But then he noticed something subtle on the metal latch. A smear of dirt, out of place on such a clean surface. He wiped it gently with a cloth and revealed a faint engraving beneath the grime. M.H., 2 small letters, nearly invisible. Mr. Castillo narrowed his eyes. "Have you opened this again since yesterday?" Liam shook his head. "Only once. I was scared someone might see me." The librarian opened the case slowly, carefully lifting one of the stacks. Between the crisp bills was a folded piece of paper, hidden. He unfolded it, revealing a torn receipt from a high-end restaurant, the Red Ivy, dated 2 nights ago. On the back, a scrawled note. "Meet at the tower midnight, bring it, no mistakes." No names, no clear instructions, just enough to stir more questions. Liam's pulse quickened. "You think this is connected to who lost it?" Mr. Castillo nodded slowly. "It's a start." They searched the rest of the case but found nothing else. Still, the clue was enough. Mr. Castillo tapped his desk. "There's only one tower people refer to like that around here. The old clock tower on 5th and Lexington. It's been abandoned for years." Liam leaned forward. "Should I go?" The question hung in the air. Dangerous, risky, but it might be the only path to answers. "I don't want you near it alone," the librarian said, "but I know someone who might be able to help." He pulled out his phone and sent a message. "Her name's Dana, ex-journalist. Knows how to ask questions without being noticed." Liam felt a twinge of hope. Maybe with her help he could figure this out and decide what to do with the money. He didn't want to run. He wanted to do the right thing. Outside, the wind picked up as clouds rolled in. The city never truly slept, but sometimes it held its breath. In the distance, unseen by either of them, the man in the coat walked away from the library, his phone pressed to his ear. "Yeah, the kid's got it, but he's not alone anymore." Then he vanished into the crowd, like smoke. The Red Ivy sat tucked between glass towers, glowing like a secret in the dark. It wasn't the kind of place people like Liam ever stepped into. Velvet curtains, suited doormen, and valet parking screamed money. But tonight, Liam and Dana stood across the street, watching from the shadows. She was sharp, mid-30s, eyes like a hawk's. "You're sure the receipt came from here?" she asked. Liam nodded, gripping the folded paper. They'd met an hour earlier at the library, and Dana didn't waste time. She believed Liam, but she didn't coddle him either. "This is dangerous," she had said, "but I've chased worse." Now, as they observed the restaurant, she raised her camera. "Let's see who comes and goes." Liam watched in silence, nerves coiled tight in his chest. He felt like he was standing at the edge of something massive. Half an hour passed. Diners laughed behind thick glass. Nothing suspicious, until a man stepped out of the side entrance, speaking quickly into a phone. Liam froze. It was him, the man from the alley. Same coat, same hurried movements. Dana snapped a photo. "You recognize him?" Liam whispered. "That's the guy who dropped the briefcase. I'm sure of it." The man ducked into a black car and sped off. Dana grabbed Liam's arm. "Come on." They caught a cab and tailed the vehicle from a distance. "If he's headed to the tower, we'll know for sure he's part of this," Dana said. Liam nodded, the briefcase at his feet, hidden beneath a ragged blanket. His heart pounded like a drum. He wasn't sure what they'd find, but something told him the next hour would change everything. They followed the car through winding streets until it pulled up near the old clock tower. Tall, silent, crumbling. The man stepped out, this time carrying nothing. He looked around, cautious, then disappeared inside. Dana turned to Liam. "This is it. But we stay low. Understand?" Liam swallowed hard and nodded. They crept toward the building, slipping through a side entrance hidden by ivy. Inside, the air was thick with dust and decay. Footsteps echoed from above. The man was already climbing the stairs. Dana whispered, "Let's go." With each step, the tension rose. Liam clutched the case, unsure what he'd do when they reached the top. Ask questions, confront him, or just run. The answers waited above, and so did something neither of them expected. The stairwell groaned beneath their feet as Liam and Dana climbed, dust rising with every step. Faint voices echoed from the top floor, bouncing off the stone walls. They paused just below the final landing. Dana pressed a finger to her lips and leaned close to the door. Two men were speaking. One was the man from the alley. The other's voice was deeper, calmer, and unfamiliar. "You lost it?" The deep voice snapped. "Do you understand what's at stake?" "I had no choice," the coat man stammered. "Cops were swarming the block. I ditched it in an alley. I thought I'd come back later." "You thought wrong." A loud thump followed. Liam winced. This wasn't just a drop-off gone bad. This was a war over something much bigger. Dana gently nudged the door open a crack. Inside, the room was empty except for a broken clock face and the two men standing near the edge. Liam's eyes narrowed. The second man was older, dressed too clean for this place. Something about him felt cold, like he wasn't used to being questioned. "If that briefcase ends up in the wrong hands, we're finished," he growled. "Do you know how many people want what's in that ledger?" Liam turned to Dana. "Ledger?" he whispered. She looked puzzled. "There's no ledger in the case," she whispered back. "Unless—" Her eyes widened. "They're not just after the money." The realization hit hard. The money was bait, or cover. Whatever this was, it was bigger than $500,000. Liam felt his stomach twist. Suddenly, the man in the coat shouted, "Wait! Someone's here!" Dana pulled Liam back as the door slammed open. Footsteps thundered down the stairs. "Go!" she hissed. They raced down, hearts pounding, the case rattling against Liam's leg. Behind them, voices barked threats. "Find them! They have it!" This wasn't about a random drop anymore. They were targets. They burst out onto the street, lungs burning, legs shaking. Dana flagged a cab. "Get in!" They dove inside, slamming the door as the driver peeled off. Liam looked back. No one followed, but he knew it wasn't over. The case wasn't just full of cash. It was full of secrets. Secrets someone would kill to protect. And now, they were running out of time. The cab roared through the city as rain began to fall, streaking the windows like ink across glass. Dana kept checking behind them, while Liam stared at the briefcase now resting on his lap like a ticking bomb. His thoughts raced. A ledger. That's what they're after. But where is it? The money no longer seemed like the prize. It was the cover. And he was holding the key to something far more dangerous. Back at the library, Mr. Castillo locked the doors behind them. Dana wasted no time. She dumped the contents of the case onto his desk, bills sliding across like a wave. Then she carefully inspected the lining, running her fingers along the seams. "There," she said, voice tight. She pulled at a hidden edge, and something shifted. A false panel popped loose. Inside, wrapped in black cloth, was a small, leather-bound notebook. Liam watched in silence as Dana opened it. Every page was covered in names, numbers, and coded references, addresses, payments, initials. "This isn't just a ledger," she whispered. "It's a black book, evidence." Mr. Castillo took it gently, flipping through with a heavy expression. This could ruin people, important people, politicians, CEOs." These aren't just transactions, they're payoffs, deals, blackmail. He looked up at Liam. You were never supposed to find this. Liam swallowed hard. So what now? Do we burn it? Hide it? His voice cracked under the weight of it all. I just wanted to do the right thing. Dana shook her head. You still can. But we need to find out who really owns this. Someone who wasn't running. Someone who left it behind because they were forced to. Mr. Castillo nodded. We start with the initials, MH. They dug through the ledger, finding a single page marked MH, with entries dating back years, offshore accounts, property purchases, donations to orphanages. Liam leaned in. Wait, that's the place I was left. The group home. Mr. Castillo froze. Are you saying this person knew you? The room went still. It wasn't just a coincidence anymore. Liam was connected to this in ways he couldn't yet see. Somewhere in the city, someone had left that case behind, not just to escape, but maybe to reach him. And now, with enemies closing in, the truth was rising to the surface. Liam looked at the ledger, the weight of it anchoring him to something deeper than money. For the first time, he didn't feel like a runaway. He felt like a piece of a much bigger story. The pieces were moving fast now. Dana made calls to contacts in the press, while Mr. Castillo scanned every page of the ledger, logging them onto a secure drive. Liam sat by the window, watching the rain. His life had changed in 48 hours, and yet, deep inside, he was still the boy abandoned on cold sidewalks. What if this all goes wrong? He asked quietly. Dana didn't look up. Then we go down doing the right thing. Later that night, a message arrived on an encrypted app Dana used. A single line. Meet at the park. Midnight. Come alone. MH. Liam's heart jumped. It's him, he said. The real owner. Dana hesitated. It could be a trap. Mr. Castillo nodded. But it could also be the answer. Liam stood, gripping the briefcase. I'm going, but I won't be alone. At midnight, Central Park was empty, the world holding its breath beneath silver clouds. Liam walked the path alone, but Dana watched from a distance, camera in hand. He waited by the stone archway, breath forming ghosts in the cold air. Then, footsteps. From the shadows, a man emerged, older, dressed simply, his eyes full of something Liam hadn't seen in anyone else. Regret. You're Liam, the man said softly. You have it? Liam nodded. Why did you leave it? Why me? The man sighed, glancing around. I was running from people who wanted me dead. The case, I threw it, hoping someone good would find it. Someone who'd do what I couldn't. He looked down. I used to fund charities, shelters. I helped build that group home you were left in. I knew your name. Liam's mouth went dry. Why? The man's voice cracked. Because I made mistakes. And I thought, maybe helping someone like you was the one thing I could do right. He held out his hand. I never meant for you to be caught in this. Liam didn't move. The book. People are after it. Bad people. The man nodded. And that's why I need you to give it to someone who won't be bought. Not me. You. Liam hesitated, then slowly passed the briefcase to him. But inside, it no longer held the ledger. That had already been uploaded, sent out to those who would make it public. The man opened it, saw the empty space, and smiled. Smart boy. He turned to leave, but stopped. I have no family, no one left. But if you'll let me, I'd like to change that. Liam looked up, heart pounding. He didn't say yes, not yet. But he didn't say no either. Weeks passed. The city buzzed with headlines. Corruption exposed, names named, arrests made. The ledger had ignited a firestorm, and in the middle of it, one quiet boy disappeared from view, just as he wanted. Liam stayed with Mr. Castillo while the dust settled, Dana checked in often, always smiling when she saw how he'd started to change, no longer just surviving, starting, slowly, to live. The man from the park, Michael Hartman, kept his promise. He didn't force himself into Liam's life. He waited, called once, sent a letter, and left space. In that letter, he wrote about guilt, second chances, and building something real, not as payment, not as apology, but as a future. Liam read it 3 times before deciding. One cold morning, he asked Mr. Castillo for help filling out adoption papers. The day they stood in the family court building, Liam didn't know what to feel. Excitement, fear, maybe both. Michael waited in the hallway, nervously checking his watch. When Liam approached, they didn't speak at first. Then, Michael knelt to his level and whispered, "I don't know how to be a father, but I want to try if you'll let me." Liam didn't answer with words. He hugged him. They moved into a modest home just outside the city. Not a mansion, not something flashy, just warm, safe, real. Liam got his own room. Books lined the walls. Dana visited for dinner one night and brought him a camera. "So, you can tell your own story someday?" she said. And he did. In small ways. At school. With friends. With silence that no longer felt empty. Sometimes Liam still woke up in the middle of the night, heart racing from memories of the streets, of cold steel and hunger. But each time he looked around and remembered, he wasn't alone anymore. There were no more briefcases to carry, no more secrets to run from, just mornings with sunlight on the floor and the scent of coffee downstairs. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the skyline, Liam sat beside Michael on the porch. "Why did you really leave the case?" he asked. Michael thought for a long time. "Because I couldn't face who I'd become, and because somehow I hoped it would find someone better than me." Liam smiled, small and quiet. It did. And for the first time in a long time, he believed he was where he belonged. Home.